So the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi about the non-violence and also the Indian early system, how it will impactful over the revolution.
Of one thing he was very clear, not just politics, not just in public life, but even in personal life, there must be a strong inner center. For him, politics and religion were inseparable, but religion in the sense of essential religiousness. He was saying, I oppose the British because they are unfair. It's not just about political power changing hands. One always has a choice. Don't you exercise that choice often? We all do, right? In spite of knowing what? You are restless without knowing the restlessness. Gandhi challenged the biggest colonial force in the history of mankind.
So, Pranam Acharya Ji. So as you said, the revolution should start from the inner side, and real freedom is the freedom over ego. And we have to change the external outside. So as today we are remembering Mahatma Gandhi on his death anniversary. So the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi about the non-violence and also the Indian early system, how it will impactful over the revolution and war type situation in Iran, and also from decades we are seen in many countries that type of situation. How the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi should help.
Where do I start? You see, since I have to start from somewhere, so I'll pick up this point. Gandhiji had a very strong inner moral locus. You remember why he left the Congress in terms of its formal membership and decided to devote close to the last almost 1.5 decades of his life to national reform in the interiors. Because he was very clear that unless the grassroots is improving, no superstructure can be beneficial. Whatever be his limitations or his definitions of righteousness or morality, of one thing he was very clear. Not just politics, not just in public life, but even in personal life, there must be a strong inner center. And it was for this reason that he wanted politics to have a religious basis. For him, politics and religion were inseparable. Religion not in the sense of a sectarian path, but religion in the sense of essential religiousness, essential virtue itself. He wanted these to be inseparable, life and virtue. And that's what you need to understand. Every action, whether in your personal or public life, must come from that inner point of virtue. And that point has to be accessed, it has to be invoked. One has to listen to it, one has to go to it, one has to attend to it. One always has a choice to know what is right and still not do what is right. Don't you exercise that choice often? We all do, right? In spite of knowing what? To our best sense, appears as right, we still override it. We still deny it. In Gandhi's politics, that was inadmissible. Not just in his politics. You could say in his philosophy. So that internal center must be strong and must be allowed to rule. And from there, you can challenge whatever external systems need to be challenged. Gandhi challenged the biggest colonial force in the history of mankind. The force, the empire that Gandhi challenged was mightier than the regime of the Tsar or that of the Chinese authoritarians or that of the French rulers, the British Empire itself, right? But the aims were not just political when it comes to Gandhi. Nor was the center of challenge just political. He was saying, I oppose the British because they are unfair. It's not just about political power changing hands. What I am challenging is a principle. And what is the principle that I am challenging? That might is right. That you get the authority to rule because you have the capacity to inflict violence. Therefore, he said non-violence, ahimsa. I deny to accept that you get the license to rule just because you have the capacity to inflict violence on me. I will not accept this jungle law kind of thing, might is right. Do you see this? Is it only because I do not feel right that I oppose something? Or is it because I see where the fundamental problem is? One has to go to the fundamentals itself and figure out where the problem is. In this context, I must refer to a phrase that you used in your question. You said freedom of the ego. Freedom of the ego. No. Most revolutions want exactly that. Freedom of the ego or freedom for the ego. And that's why revolutions fail. Politically, they might appear to succeed for one generation. But inwardly, they all fail. What we need is not freedom of the ego or freedom for the ego. We need freedom from the ego. The ego is fed up of itself. It needs and deserves freedom from itself. And that will be the real revolution. That will be the mother of all revolutions. You cannot even imagine the kind of changes that ensue from there. The very foundation has changed. What in the old building will now stay intact? The ego is the foundation of all life structures we have built. Familial, social, religious, political, international. all structures that the human being has built are on the foundation of the unseen, unexamined, untested ego. Once the foundation itself changes, tell me what in that old building will stay intact. Please tell me. Anything? That will be the real revolution. But the ego does not want total revolutions. It wants revolutions of the superficial kind. Just scratch the surface. There is a certain pleasure in itching. That's the pleasure of superficial revolutions. I'm in no way being disrespectful to the hundreds, possibly thousands that have perished recently in Iran. I'm not being disrespectful to them. On the contrary, what I'm saying is that let's ensure that their contribution and martyrdom does not go waste. Young men, young women have laid down their lives so that something truly changes. They haven't chosen to die so that you get another system with a different name, with a different architecture, with a different color, with a different constitution, but the same foundation. Those young people haven't died for that. And if on the same foundation you erect another system, then within one generation you will find you need to have another revolution. 79 and 26. How much is that? Just 47 years. Just 47 years. Within 47 years, the revolution. How long did the Soviet Union last? How long did unified Pakistan last? Yeah. We need something built on a stronger foundation. Philosophically, the way it is put is, truth is timeless. And only in timelessness is there peace. If you want something that lasts and lasts peacefully, let it be founded on the truth. And what is truth? Not some principle, not some statement, not some slogan. The ego summoning the honesty and the courage to confront its true nature is the truth. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. Just self-knowledge.
Sir, you mentioned previously that self-exploration might be a...
We need to be louder maybe.
Hello.
The mic is fine.
So you mentioned previously...
That's how revolutions happen. You see, this revolution was about exchanging this system with that system, without the speaker realizing that changing systems will not help.
So you mentioned previously that self-exploration might be a way to solve or this restlessness. So how can this self-exploration can mitigate the restlessness within ourselves?
The question is, sir, you're talking of self-exploration. How will this self-exploration help? How will this reduce the inner restlessness that one feels as a young person, let's say? There is restlessness, and that's an experience. That's an experience, right? You experience restlessness. Is experiencing something the same as knowing it? The question for you, please tell me, epistemic question. Is experience the same as knowledge? You experience headache. Does that mean that you know what it is and where it's coming from? You also experience dreams. Does that mean you know what's going on? Please tell me. You probably wrote the JEE, you probably keep writing several exams periodically in the campus. And even when you are finalizing on a flawed answer in the answer sheet, at that moment, don't you experience that what you are submitting is right? That's your experience, right? This was the problem in the question paper, and I have solved it fully. That's your experience. But does that mean that you know what you have done? No. It is only when you are tested that the fact is revealed, right? And then it comes sometimes as a shock. I thought it was 20 on 20, and what I get is 2 on 20. So that's the problem. You are restless without knowing the restlessness. You are restless without even knowing who is restless. But because the restlessness underlies everything that you do and every experience you have, therefore, restlessness has become so common, it feels normal. It is always there. Just the name changes. Sometimes in the form of envy, sometimes fear, sometimes ambition, sometimes love, sometimes insecurity, sometimes hope. But the restlessness continues. Like background noise, white noise. And it has been there since birth. Therefore, it gets normalized. So we don't inquire. When something is normal, why would inquire? One inquires into abnormality. Something is normal, why would one inquire? Therefore, we experience restlessness, but we don't know it. We don't know the restless one. We don't know the ego. And how to know the ego? And first of all, why to know the ego? Because the ego is the center, the driver of all our decisions, all our relationships, all our efforts. The ego decides what we are going to do next. The ego does not stand for vanity or pride or something just casually negative. The ego, in philosophical sense, refers to the very I feeling. The I amness, the sense that I exist. It is this feeling, this sense that drives our entire life. Does it not? It is at the center of everything that you stand for and work for. Therefore, it is important to know who your driver is. Right? And the driver, to top it, is restless. Makes it doubly necessary to know who the driver is. But we don't know. We just obey our internal dictates. Oh, I'm feeling like eating something spicy. Now, we don't know where the feeling comes from. We don't know what the feeling is trying to hide. We don't know what the feeling is a substitute for. I've fallen in love. We don't know where this thing called love is coming from. We don't even know whether we know what love truly is. I like it. And once you say, I like it, you put the force of your entire personality, your whole being behind it, don't you? I'll go after this because I want to. You're investing tremendously in the decisions of the ego. And if you are investing so much at some place, don't you deserve to know what that place is like? Asking you. When you invest even a modest amount in some particular script on the stock exchange, it is advised that you first study the fundamentals of that company. Is it not advised? You're going to invest your money there. You must know where you are putting your money. But you are putting all your life, all your money, all your feelings, everything that you have, your entire duration as a human being, you are putting it in the service of the ego without knowing what this thing called the ego is. Therefore, you need to know the ego. It is that important. Now, how to know it? The way is simple. Because the ego is everything, so it shows up in everything. Because the ego is behind everything that you do. Therefore, the ego shows up in everything that you do. Therefore, look at your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, your decisions, your relationships. Just look at them and you will know where they are coming from. And the requirement is honesty. There is no other way or method if you are asking for one. No. Honesty is the way. Right? You had decided you would go out for a movie with a friend at night. Huh? In the evening, results of a particular paper are declared. And you find your friend has scored much better than you. Something raises its head within. 9 p.m. show. 8:30 you call up your friend and say, I'm not feeling like watching a movie tonight. Just not feeling. He says, kya ho gaya? Nothing, just not feeling. A little, some stomach upset, or a little bit in the head, something. And you convince your friend, and that's not the problem. The problem is you convince yourself as well. You convince yourself as well that you have some legitimate reason to not watch that movie with your friend. Whereas, if you're honest enough, you will know that it's sheer jealousy. Afternoon, you're all set to go out and watch the movie with your friend. Couple of hours later, you got to know what you got is 35%, your friend got 65%. Same paper, same kind of preparation. And something made you feel bitter in the mouth. No, you don't want to admit what that thing really is, because admitting it would make you feel indignified. You don't want to admit that you are just jealous of your own friend. So you would simply say, no, I have an assignment to complete. There is a bit of headache. Or something else. Somebody told me the movie is super bore. So let's drop it. The ego is everywhere. When you say, how do I detect the ways of the ego? The question is, how do you avoid detecting the ways of the ego when the ego is everywhere? It is to be seen in everything. The way you dress up, the way you choose your company, the way you choose to spend your time, the way you make your life decisions, the way you make your career choices. The ego is everywhere. You simply have to honestly acknowledge the center everything is coming from.